The cockpit alarm screamed like a demon unleashed, red lights pulsing across the dashboard as the Boeing 737 lurched violently, oxygen masks dangling like nooses from the ceiling above the passengers' seats. Captain Alex Rivera gripped the yoke, his knuckles white against the worn leather, sweat beading on his forehead despite the blasting air conditioning, whispering a silent prayer not to the God who'd abandoned him years ago, but to the ghosts of every lover and friend he'd buried in his closet. In that frozen heartbeat, as the plane plummeted toward the jagged peaks of the Colorado Rockies, Alex knew this was it. Not just the end of Flight 417, but the unraveling of the lie he'd piloted his entire life. He yanked the throttle back, fighting the failing hydraulics with every ounce of his training, the co-pilot's voice cracking over the intercom. "Mayday, Mayday, Denver Tower. This is United 417, engine 2 out, losing altitude fast." Alex's mind raced through checklists he'd memorized in his sleep, but beneath the protocol surged a fiercer current. The faces of the 214 souls behind him, strangers who'd trusted him with their fragile lives, oblivious to the secret shame he carried like contraband in his flight bag. "Hold on," he muttered to no one, his voice steady even as his heart hammered a requiem. The ground rushed up, a merciless gray blur, and in that split second, Alex chose, not just to save them, but to finally fly free. By some miracle of physics and sheer goddamn will, the plane skimmed the treetops, engines whining in protest as Alex coaxed it into a desperate glide toward the emergency runway at Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport. The landing gear deployed with a metallic groan, tires screeching against the asphalt in a shower of sparks that lit the dawn sky like fireworks gone wrong. The fuselage shuddered to a halt just shy of the chain-link fence, and for a long, suspended moment, the world held its breath. Then, cheers erupted from the cabin, raw, primal sobs of relief mingling with applause, as flight attendants unbuckled and rushed to check on the passengers. Alex slumped back in his seat, the adrenaline crash hitting like a sucker punch, his hands trembling as he unclipped his headset. He'd done it. Hundreds saved. But as the cabin door hissed open and the first responders swarmed aboard, Alex felt no triumph. Only the hollow echo of a man who'd cheated death but still couldn't face his own reflection. The media frenzy descended like a biblical plague within minutes. CNN vans clogged the tarmac, reporters shoving microphones through the emergency exit as paramedics wheeled out the shaken but unharmed passengers. Alex emerged last, his uniform rumpled, epaulets askew, forcing a hero's smile for the cameras while inside, his chest tightened like a vice. "Captain Rivera, what went through your mind?" A blonde anchor from Channel 7 thrust forward, her eyes gleaming with that predatory hunger for sound bites. He paused, scanning the sea of faces beyond the barriers, families reuniting in tearful embraces, children clutching stuffed animals like talismans. "Just doing my job," he said, voice gravelly from disuse. "Get everyone home safe. That's the only thought that matters." But it was a lie, polished from years of evasion. Alex Rivera, 34, decorated Air Force veteran turned commercial pilot, had spent a decade perfecting the art of deflection. Born in the Rust Belt grit of Pittsburgh to a steelworker father and a devout Catholic mother, he'd learned early that some truths were better left grounded. At 16, he'd kissed Tommy Hargrove behind the bleachers after Friday night football, a clumsy collision of lips and longing that tasted like freedom. By 17, Tommy was gone, off to college, whispering promises over payphones that faded like contrails. And Alex? He buried it all, enlisting in the Air Force to chase the skies where no one could touch him, where altitude equaled escape. The military had been a pressure cooker of contradictions. "Don't ask, don't tell" lingered like toxic fumes even after its repeal, and Alex played the straight arrow flyboy to perfection. Beer pong with the boys, weekend barbecues, the occasional blind date with a perky flight attendant named Karen or Lisa, their names blurring into interchangeable alibis. He'd risen fast, logging combat hours over the Middle East, medals pinned to his chest like borrowed valor. But each night in his bunk, staring at the canvas ceiling, he'd traced the scars of what-ifs. What if Dad hadn't called him a disgrace when he accidentally found that dog-eared copy of Giovanni's Room hidden under the mattress? What if Mom hadn't clutched her rosary and prayed for his soul instead of hugging him? What if Tommy had stayed, fought the small-town whispers that branded them both? Discharged honorably after 8 years, Alex traded dogfights for passenger jets, United Airlines snapping him up for his steady hands and unflappable cool. Denver hubs suited him, Rocky Mountains a rugged mirror to his own jagged edges, the city's progressive undercurrent a tentative truce with his identity. He dated sparingly, apps deleted after one too many ghostings, content with the illusion of normalcy, until Flight 417 shattered the fuselage of that fragile piece. Back at the airline's ops center that afternoon, debriefs dragged on under fluorescent buzz. The NTSB prelim pointed to a bird strike cascading into hydraulic failure, freak accident, no fault assigned. Yet Alex replayed every second, dissecting his responses like a crash report on his own heart. "You saved lives today, Cap," his co-pilot, Mike, clapped him on the shoulder, genuine awe in his eyes. Mike was straight as a ruler, married with twins, the kind of guy who'd never suspect the quiet pilot beside him harbored a love for men that burned brighter than any afterburners. "Beers on me tonight. You earned it." Alex nodded, forcing levity. "Rain check. Got a hot date with my couch." Solitude was his sanctuary, but tonight it felt like a cell. He drove home through the sprawl of Aurora suburbs, the Rockies looming purple in the twilight, radio tuned low to some classic rock station crooning about broken highways. His apartment was a Spartan affair, leather sectional, aviation prints on the walls, a single shelf of dog-eared paperbacks. Baldwin, Isherwood, the forbidden canon he'd smuggled into his youth. He poured a scotch neat, the burn grounding him, and sank into the cushions, replaying the descent. Not the instruments, not the vectors, but the passengers' faces in his mind's eye. Elderly couples, young mothers, a businessman barking into his phone pre-panic. Strangers, yes, but in that plummet, they'd become his charge, his confession. The call came at dusk, his phone vibrating with an unknown number. Alex let it ring, assuming press hounds, but it persisted, insistent as a klaxon. Sighing, he answered. "Rivera." "Alex? It's Jamie." The voice cracked, hesitant, laced with an accent he hadn't heard in years, soft southern drawl, like kudzu wrapping around old oaks. Jamie Hargrove, Tommy's younger brother, the kid who'd tagged along on those stolen summers, wide-eyed witness to their unspoken bond. Last Alex knew, Jamie was a firefighter down in Atlanta, following the family legacy of charging into flames. "Jamie." Alex sat up, scotch forgotten. "How the hell?" "I was on the flight." A pause, heavy as fallout. "Row 22, window seat. Saw the mountains coming at us like Judgment Day. You pulled us out. I need to see you. Please." The line went dead before Alex could respond, leaving him adrift in the static. Jamie Hargrove, of all people, the brother who'd idolized him once, who'd walked in on that last goodbye kiss with Tommy before everything splintered. Alex's pulse thrummed, a mix of dread and inexplicable pull. Tommy had died 5 years back, overdose in some seedy motel, the news filtering through mutual friends like a rumor too painful to confirm. Jamie had cut ties then, blaming Alex in drunken voicemails for leading his brother astray, the echo of their father's bigotry. And now this. A survivor from his miracle landing, dredging up ghosts Alex had taxied away. He paced the living room, shadows lengthening across the hardwood, debating the wisdom of answering that knock he knew was coming. The media had plastered his face everywhere, square-jawed savior, eyes like storm clouds, and Jamie, sharp as ever, would have tracked him down through airline directories or sheer stubbornness. By 9, headlights swept the driveway, a rental sedan crunching gravel. Alex watched from the window as Jamie unfolded from the driver's seat, taller than memory, firehouse build filling out a faded United hoodie, blonde hair cropped military short, face etched with lines that spoke of losses unshared. The doorbell chimed, and Alex opened it, the cool night air carrying the scent of pine and exhaust. "Jamie," he said, voice even, masking the tremor. Up close, the resemblance to Tommy was a gut punch. Same hazel eyes, same crooked smile fighting through fatigue. "Captain Hero," Jamie replied, attempting levity that fell flat. He held a 6-pack of craft IPA, peace offering or prop, Alex couldn't tell. Mind if I come in? Got some thinking to do. Alex stepped aside, the door clicking shut like a seal on old wounds. They settled on the couch, beers cracked with ritual silence, the TV flickering muted news recaps of the miracle on the mountain. Jamie's hands fidgeted, calloused from axes and hoses, betraying the steel of his gaze. I flew in from Georgia for a conference, he started, voice low. Divorce papers waiting back home. Figured a quick hop to Denver would clear my head. Then, that. He gestured vaguely, encompassing the invisible thread between near death and now. You didn't flinch. Just flew. Training. Alex shrugged, sipping to buy time. What about you? Last I heard, you were torching wildfires, not dodging bird strikes. Jamie barked a laugh, bitter-edged. Yeah, well, life's got a way of flaming out. Lost the wife, the house. Turns out pretending works until it doesn't. His eyes flicked to Alex's, holding, searching, like you know something about that. The air thickened, charged with the unsaid. Alex set his bottle down, the clink amplified in the quiet. Jamie, why are you really here? It's not just the beer and gratitude. Jamie's jaw tightened, Adam's apple bobbing as he swallowed hard. Because I saw you up there, Alex. Not the captain, not the poster boy. You. The guy who loved my brother enough to break him, and me, when it ended. I blamed you for years. Said you corrupted him, made him weak. Dad's words, mostly. But on that plane, plummeting, all I could think was how Tommy would have been proud. How I was wrong. Alex's throat closed, the room spinning slow. Vulnerability wasn't his co-pilot. He'd ejected it long ago. Yet here it was, coaxed out by this man who'd once been family, now a stranger with familiar pain. Tommy broke himself. Alex whispered finally, the truth a release valve. I loved him, yeah? Too much, maybe. But he couldn't breathe in that town, with the church and the whispers. He ran, to the city, to the parties, to whatever numbed it. I stayed hid. That's on me. They talked then, words tumbling like aftershocks. Jamie's divorce rooted in his own closet, a marriage of convenience crumbling under the weight of unspoken desires. Alex's military ghosts, the near-miss court-martial for a barracks hookup gone south. Laughter crept in, tentative, over shared memories of Tommy's terrible jokes and stolen beers by the creek. By midnight, the six-pack emptied, barriers eroding like runway foam under jet wash. As Jamie stood to leave, shrugging into his jacket, he paused at the door, hand on the knob. I'm sticking around a few days. Therapy, I guess, seeing a counselor hear about the crash. His eyes softened, a spark Alex hadn't seen since boyhood. Dinner tomorrow? No pretenses. Just us. Alex nodded, the yes slipping out before caution could override. Pick you up at 7. That new brew pub in Lodo. The door closed, and Alex leaned against it, heart aloft in uncharted airspace. For the first time in years, the skies felt less like escape and more like homecoming. But dawn brought the headlines. Hero pilot's secret past exposed? A blurry photo from his Air Force days, arms slung around a rumored lover, splashed across the Post's front page. Leaks from old service buddies, bitter over denied promotions. The witch hunt had begun, and Jamie, his fragile bridge to redemption, stood square in the crosswinds. The morning sun slanted through the blinds like accusatory fingers as Alex scrolled the feeds, coffee turning bitter in his mug. Social media erupted. Gay pilot hero trending with a toxic brew of support and vitriol. Finally, a queer icon who earns it, cheered one thread from urban liberals. Disgrace to the uniform. How'd he even pass psych evals? Snarled another from Heartland trolls. United's PR machine word to life, issuing boilerplate statements on diversity while brass scheduled discreet meetings. Alex's phone buzzed nonstop, reporters, old flames offering support, his mother leaving voicemails in tear-choked Spanish, the first in a decade. He dressed for the day off in jeans and a faded Rockies tee, opting for the anonymity of a long run along the Platte River Trail. Pavement pounded beneath his sneakers, the rush of Cherry Creek a counterpoint to his churning thoughts. Exposure wasn't new. He'd danced this tango before, post-DET, when unit rumors nearly grounded him. But this? National stage, post-heroics. It amplified every insecurity into a spotlight glare. What would Jamie think, seeing the man he'd tentatively trusted reduced to tabloid fodder. Or worse, what if Jamie's own secrets surfaced, dragged into the maelstrom? Mid-stride, his earbuds piping Springsteen's Born to Run, Alex nearly collided with a jogger, a wiry woman in her 40s, rainbow armband glinting. She steadied him with a grin. "Captain Rivera? Huge fan. My wife's a flight attendant. Says you're the real deal." Her words, earnest and unfiltered, pierced the fog. "Ignore the noise. We see you." He managed a nod, resuming pace with renewed vigor, the encounter a buoy in the undertow. By noon, he hit the gym, weights clanging in rhythmic defiance, each rep a fuck you to the doubters. Sweat-stung eyes blurred the mirror's reflection, not a fraud, not a punchline, but a man who'd stared down death and won. Still, doubt lingered like contrails. What if Jamie bolted, scared off by the scandal's shrapnel? The brewpub that evening buzzed with after-work crowds, craft taps foaming under Edison bulbs, the air thick with hoppy aroma and laughter. Alex arrived early, claiming a corner booth with a view of the door, nursing a hazy IPA while scanning for Jamie's blonde crop. 7 sharp, he walked in, casual in chinos and button-down, sleeves rolled to reveal forearms roped with vein from hose drags, a shy wave cutting through the din. They ordered truffle fries to share, burgers medium rare, and conversation flowed easier than the beer, skirting the morning's headlines at first. Jamie had seen them. Of course, firefighters thrived on scanner chatter. "Called bullshit on half of it," he said, dipping a fry. "Knew you back when Tommy bragged about your letters from Basic. Alex has got wings and guts," he'd say. Alex chuckled, warmth spreading despite the chill of exposure. He had the heart. "I just followed." They delved deeper then, Jamie opening up about his ex-wife's suspicions, the late-night Google searches for how to know if you're gay, the terror of coming out in a department still rife with bro-code machismo. "Fought a blaze last year, pulled a kid from the inferno. Adrenaline crash, and all I wanted was someone like you. Steady. Real." The admission hung, electric, as the server cleared plates. Alex's pulse quickened, old longings stirring like turbulence. "I'm out now, sort of forced. But it's freeing, in a hurricane kind of way." He reached across, fingers brushing Jamie's knuckles, a test, a tether. Jamie didn't pull away. Instead, his hand turned, palm up, calluses rough against Alex's smoother skin. Outside, under the neon glow of Larimer Street, they walked, shoulders brushing in the crisp fall air. Lodo's murals, vibrant queer icons splashed in defiance, framed their steps. At Jamie's hotel, a boutique spot with rooftop views, he hesitated at the revolving doors. "Up for a nightcap? Got a bottle of bourbon Tommy would have hated, too smooth." Alex's yes was a leap, elevator rising like a scent phase. The room overlooked the city lights, skyline a constellation of possibilities. They poured measures, settling on the balcony, city hum a distant lullaby. Stories spilled, Jamie's first crush on a high school coach, Alex's clandestine hookups in Baghdad bunkers. Laughter bridged the gaps, but beneath simmered tension, unspoken invitations. As stars wheeled overhead, Jamie leaned in, breath warm against Alex's ear. "Thank you for the plane for this. For seeing me." Their lips met, tentative then fervent, a kiss born of survival and surrender. No rush, no conquest, just two men untangling knots long tightened by fear. But dawn brought reckoning. Alex woke to Jamie's phone exploding with notifications, his face ashen as he scrolled. "My captain found out about me. From some leak, probably tied to your story. Suspended pending review. Says it's conduct unbecoming." Panic edged his voice, the high of the night crashing into reality's wreckage. Alex bolted up, pulling him close. "We'll fight it. Together." But even as he said it, sirens wailed in the distance, a harbinger. The scandal had tendrils, snaking into Jamie's world, threatening to ground them both before they'd even taxied out. Word of Jamie's suspension rocketed through the firehouse grapevine by breakfast, whispers turning to outright interrogations as he clocked in for his shift, technically off, but old habits died hard. "Hargrove, that true about you and the pilot?" grunted Big Mike, the veteran hose man, over coffee in the apparatus bay, his meaty hand pausing mid-pour. The station house, a brick behemoth in Lakewood, reeked of diesel and damp gear, the Dalmatian snoring in the corner oblivious to the storm. Jamie met his gaze, chin lifted. Yeah, it's true. No apology, no evasion. The words a firewall against the blaze of judgment. Murmurs rippled, a few nods of solidarity from the younger crew, stony silences from the old guard. His captain, Harlan, a grizzled Korean vet with a mustache like steel wool, summoned him to the office mid-morning, door clicking shut like a hatched seal. Explain. Harlan barked, tossing a printout of the Post article across the scarred desk. Alex's face juxtaposed with speculation on influence over Jamie. This queer pilot crap bleeding into my house. Department's got eyes on us after that parade float fiasco last Pride. Jamie stood ramrod, badge heavy on his chest. Personal life, Cap doesn't touch the job. But Harlan's eyes narrowed, citing policy on public perception, the suspension a preemptive strike to dodge lawsuits from conservative donors. Take the week. Get your head straight, or don't come back. Outside, the truck bay felt cavernous, echoes mocking him. He texted Alex. Boots on the ground just got muddy. Meet at the park? Washington Park's lake shimmered under midday sun as Jamie arrived, finding Alex on a bench, flight bag at his feet like armor. They walked the paths lined with aspens shedding gold, leaves crunching underfoot, the air crisp with impending winter. It's bullshit, Alex growled, hands jammed in pockets. Call the union. File a complaint. His own day had been a gauntlet, United Brass offering sensitivity training, laced with veiled threats, fans mailing rainbow patches, haters doxing his address. But Jamie's pain cut deeper, a collateral from his orbit. Jamie stopped by the boathouse, facing him. Always knew it'd cost something. Tommy paid with his life. Hiding, running. Can't let it take yours too. His voice cracked, hazel eyes stormy. Maybe I should head back to Atlanta. Lick wounds private. No. Alex cupped his face, thumbs tracing jawline. We don't run. Not anymore. The kiss that followed was fierce, anchoring, passers-by blurring into irrelevance. But as they broke apart, a jogger slowed. Phone out, snapping pics. Hey, aren't you? The shot went viral by lunch. Pilot-firefighter romance. Hashtags twisting heroism into soap opera. Support poured in. Queer activists rallying. GLAAD issuing statements. But so did the dregs. Death threats to Jamie's station. Alex's inbox flooded with slurs. That night, over takeout Ty and Alex's apartment, they plotted defenses. Lawyers, media allies, a joint interview to own the narrative. Yet cracks showed. Jamie paced, bourbon in hand. Dad called. Heard from a cousin. Says I'm shaming the uniform, Tommy's memory. The ghost loomed large, his overdose not just pills but the culmination of a life choked by silence. Alex pulled him down, bodies aligning on the couch, whispers weaving promises. Your dad's wrong. Tommy'd want us fighting, for each other. Sleep came fitful, dreams of flaming wings and drowning depths. Morning brought escalation. Protesters at the airport gates, signs decrying agenda in the skies, countered by counter-protesters waving pride flags. United grounded Alex pending review, citing security concerns amid the chaos. Jamie's department extended the suspension, whispers of outright dismissal circulating. Desperate, they drove to the Hargrove family plot outside Denver, a quiet cemetery on the plains, wind whispering through prairie grass. Tommy's stone was simple. Thomas Hargrove, beloved son, 1988 to 2018. Jamie knelt, tracing the dates, tears carving tracks. Miss you, bro, wish you could have seen this mess. Alex stood sentinel, hand on his shoulder. He sees, and he's cheering. But as they rose, a pickup rumbled up the access road. Rural plates, a burly man in flannel stepping out, face contorted in fury. Jamie? The hell you doing, consorting with that ferry pilot? It was Uncle Ray, Tommy's godfather, a rancher with Bible Belt convictions etched deep. He'd raised Jamie after their parents' crash, instilling duty over desire. Get in the truck. We'll fix this, pray it out. Jamie squared up, voice steel. No fixing, Uncle. This is me. Ray's eyes flicked to Alex, disgust curling his lip. You poisoned him, like you did Tommy. Get off our land. The confrontation escalated, words flying like shrapnel. Ray's homophobic barbs clashing against Jamie's raw defense of love as salvation. Alex intervened, calm as a pre-flight check. Sir, with respect, your nephew's a hero too. Pulled families from fires, saved lives without medals. Let him live his. Ray spat, retreating to his truck. You'll regret this. Both of you. Tires spun gravel as he peeled out, leaving dust devils in his wake. Jamie sagged against Alex, the toll evident. He's family. Last one standing. Not last, Alex murmured. You've got me. They drove back in silence, the plains stretching endless, a metaphor for the road ahead. The turning point came midweek, a call from an unexpected ally. Elena Rivera, Alex's estranged sister, a social worker in Chicago who'd bridged their parents' chasm with cautious calls. Saw the news, Mijo. Mom's praying double time, but Dad, he's watching the coverage. Silent, for once. Her voice, warm with olive oil and empathy, cracked the dam. Come home. For Thanksgiving. Bring your firefighter. Show them. Alex hesitated, old scars itching. The last family gathering, a decade back, had ended in shouts and slammed doors after Dad found his journal. But Jamie squeezed his hand, nodding. Wings clipped here. Time to soar south. They flew commercial, irony thick, into O'Hare, Jamie's first time gripping armrests since the crash, Alex's steady narration a lifeline. Pittsburgh welcomed with steel-gray skies, the Monongah Valley a time capsule of mills and memories. The Rivera home, a modest two-story in Lawrenceville, sagged under ivy, porch light flickering welcome. Mom met them at the door, rosary beads clicking, her embrace fierce despite the tremor. Alexandro. And Jamie. No judgment, just eyes red-rimmed from vigil masses. Dad lurked in the living room, TV muted on football, beer in fist, stoic, unreadable. Dinner was a minefield, turkey drying under foil, sides passed in strained politeness. Conversation skirted politics, whether a safe harbor. Then Jamie, ever the firefighter, shared a station tale. Rescuing a trapped elder during a blizzard, no thought to glory. Dad grunted approval. Sounds like my mill days. Clock in, get her done. Emboldened, Alex cleared his throat. Like the flight. Got everyone out. But it took. Being true. To who I am. Silence descended, forks pausing. Dad's gaze hardened, then softened. A flicker of the man who'd taught him to ride a bike. Saw the papers. Thought it was weakness. But saving 200? That's steel, son. Queer or not. The admission hung, a truce. Mom wept quietly, reaching for Jamie's hand. Love's the hardest fire to fight. Later, in the guest room, they lay entwined, whispers of gratitude. Your family's mine now, Jamie breathed. But twists lingered. Back in Denver, Harlan reinstated Jamie. Pressure from City Hall, fearing discrimination suits. But with a catch, transferred to a safer admin role, sidelining his frontline passion. Ray escalated, leaking old family photos to rags, twisting Tommy's death into cautionary propaganda. Protests swelled, a bomb threat evacuating Alex's old squadron reunion. The climax erupted at a benefit gala for crash survivors, black tie affair in a downtown ballroom, chandeliers dripping light like deferred tears. Alex, in tailored tux, speech in hand, scanned the crowd, politicos, media, the saved souls toasting his name. Jamie, beside him in crisp navy, squeezed his arm. We've got this. Mid-toast, chaos, shouts from the rear, Ray storming the stage, megaphone blaring. This man's a predator. Ruined my boys, Tommy dead, Jamie next. Security lunged, but not before fists flew, Ray lunging, Alex shielding Jamie, a scuffle tumbling mics and champagne flutes. Flashbulbs popped, the room a frenzy. In the melee, a revelation. Elena, live streaming from the wings, captured Ray's phone slipping free, texts exposed. Years of harassment, not grief, fueling his crusade. You think I didn't know about Tommy's dealer? I pushed him away. The clip went supernova, turning public tide. Ray, arrested for disorderly, faced charges. His empire of influence crumbled under scrutiny. As confetti of lawsuits settled, Alex and Jamie stood amid the wreckage, unbroken. The gala refocused, speeches on resilience, queer voices amplified. Dad called the next day, voice gruff. Proud of you, kid. Bring the boy next summer. Fish fry. Months blurred into healing. Jamie back on trucks. Alex commanding routes with open pride. United's first openly gay captain. They bought a fixer-upper in Golden. Views of foothills their forever runway. One evening, atop Squaw Mountain, stars blanketing the void, Jamie knelt. Not proposal, but promise. Flew into your storm. Stay the course. Alex pulled him up, tears tracing familiar paths. Cleared for takeoff. Together, in the crowd of their lives, the saved, the shunned, the survivors, one face had indeed brought him to tears. Not of loss, but love's hard-won landing.